What's up, folks? This is Dan from Discern, and these are my thoughts on the new track from Jillian Edwards, God Only Knows. Jillian Edwards, who is actually Jillian Chapman, married to Will Chapman, the drummer from Colony House. She is a singer and songwriter with indie folk and bubbly indie pop flavors from Nashville, Tennessee. She began her career in 2009 and has released 4 albums/EPs at this point. She sort of broke onto the national scene with her EP Headfirst in 2011 and her follow-up album Daydream in 2014. Her sound is usually lively and lighthearted, with very simple and smiley melodies. Her songs have never been too groundbreaking to me, but they are blissful and uncomplicated. I really appreciate her consistency too. All of her releases have been pretty dependable. She's successfully delivered a good album each time. On this new song, which is a cover of the Beach Boys classic, God Only Knows, she pulls back the reins a little bit, simplifies her sound even more, and I think really brings out the rich emotion of this song. This cover, as compared to the original, is slower paced. It doesn't have quite the handful of vocal harmonies as the original. Hard to compete when you're comparing to the Beach Boys and their vocal harmonies. Very minimal instrumentation here, extremely minimal when compared to the original. Finger-picked, warm electric guitar, a few stringed instruments, cello, violin, and vocals. That's about it. I think they still managed to pull together a very complete and satisfying arrangement nonetheless. It doesn't feel empty or lacking. It actually sounds like a more mature or grown-up version as compared to the psychedelic original. Not that the original is lacking, it's just this cover feels more somber, more serious. Vocally, her voice is light, almost as smoothly flowing as the string arrangement. It's just a very overall peaceable and beautiful song, sort of a blend of bliss and melancholy. You know, it kind of hits that sweet spot of beautifully sad, or if not sad, then at least introverted or pondering. The music, I think, really complements the emotional perspective of the lyrics. You know, I think it takes that perspective, it takes those emotions and wallows in it a bit. The lyrics, which are the original lyrics from the Beach Boys, are sort of examining the future possibility of a romantic relationship splitting up, one person leaving the other, presumably by death. And while some of the lines are saddening and depressing, some others are really honest remembrances of the good, worth, and the ongoing effects that relationship had. The first lines of each verse very bluntly lay out the heartbreaking context. You know, I may not always love you, or if you should ever leave me. It's not sugar-coated, it's frank, it's clear. And from there, you know, when the song starts to reflect on the past and what that means for the future, you know, a future without each other. This reflection and this pondering, you know, I think it's summarized really well in the title phrase of the song, God only knows what I'd be without you. Now, in this track, in this cover for Jillian Edwards, who is an artist who's been very clear about her Christian beliefs, her convictions, the phrase, God only knows what I'd be without you, probably rings true to her in a more unique way as compared to how it did with Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. Thinking from a Christian perspective, you know, just myself, the obvious truth is that God only knows, you know, which you could sort of see as a display of his sovereign omniscience, but it can also be seen as, you know, an intimate relational perspective, that God knows what I'd be without you. He knows my inner being better than I know myself. He knows my needs. He knows how I tick. He knows my pains. And if you're in Christ, if you're his beloved child, he certainly knows what you would be, what you would become if you lost that other person. Without that other person in your life, he knows and he cares for you. Now, I don't know much of how Jillian's spiritual beliefs and life affected the recording of this track, or even why she chose to record it. Could be a very minimal or in fact non-existent influencer. Maybe she just came to, recorded this track and released it because this year is the 50th anniversary of Pet Sounds, the album from which this song originally came. If that's the case, maybe I'm reading into it far too much. So be it. I think the deeper perspective, still cool to think about regardless. I've put a link to this song in the description below this video. I really enjoyed this track, really love the mood of this track. There's a link as well to Jillian Edwards' Twitter. If you like the track, go give her a follow over there. And that is all I got. Thank you so much for watching this track review video. Remember, new track reviews release every Wednesday, and new album reviews release every Friday right here on this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is the best way to make sure you don't miss any of these new reviews. If you have a question or a comment for me about this track or not about this track, you can comment below this video. You could tweet at me at discernreviews. You could send me an email, discernreviews@gmail.com. Have you listened to this track from Jillian Edwards? Probably a silly question. Have you listened to the original from the Beach Boys? Which do you prefer, honestly? I gotta say, while hard to compete with a classic, this cover is a real contender. It's a fantastic track. So let me know what you think about it. Anyway, hope this helps. See ya.